So we're going back over the 3-week assessment that you all took a few weeks ago because in looking back at how you all scored on this test, some of the skills that you scored lowest on were rhetorical devices, strongest and weakest argument, and ethos, pathos, and logos. So we're going to go back over some of those skills and give you all a chance to show that you actually have mastered those skills. So we're going to go back through this first speech by John F. Kennedy, and it's his inaugural address. So inaugural means that this was a speech he gave at his inauguration. So that was the first speech he gave as president. So the first thing I want to do whenever I get a test, I need to go first to the question. So I'm going to go down and I'm going to find question 1. So what I want to do here is I want to read the question and underline or annotate anything that I could look for in the text when I read it. So I read this first question. It says, which appeal does JFK use in the following excerpt from paragraph 2? The belief that the rights of man come not from the generosity of the state, but from the hand of God. My choices are ethos, pathos, logos, and logical. So even if I know I think I know the answer to this, I still need to go back to paragraph 2 and look at it in the context, because I could be very wrong based on the context. So let's go back up to paragraph 2 and let's read the passage and identify anything that could help us answer the question. So before I do that, I'm going to underline that I am looking for the appeal, and it's going to be in paragraph 2. Okay, so I'm going to go back up and I'm going to look for this statement in paragraph 2. So I found paragraph 2 right here. I'm going to read the whole paragraph. The world is very different now, for man holds in his mortal hands the power to abolish all forms of human poverty and all forms of human life. Okay, I need to stop and I need to think about, what does that actually mean? What is that? What do I know that means in my own words? So I know that he's saying the world's different, and that he is saying that man has power in his hands, his mortal hands. That means that he's immortal, he can die. The power to abolish, that means get rid of all forms of human poverty and all forms of human life. So he's saying that people now have the power to get rid of poverty. They also have the power to get rid of all forms of human life or kill people. So on both sides of the coin, men have power. I'm going to go on to the next sentence. And yet the same revolutionary beliefs for which our forebears fought are still at issues around the globe. The belief that the rights of man come not from the generosity of the state, but from the hand of God. Okay, so that's the actual quote that I'm looking for, so I'm going to underline that. But I need to go back and figure out, what is this sentence actually saying, because it has some words I'm a little unfamiliar with. So I'm going to go back and see if I can paraphrase this sentence. And yet the same revolutionary beliefs for which our forebears fought. Okay, so I know forebears, it means like forefathers are the people that started the country, the people that came before him. So he talks about the same revolutionary beliefs that they fought for, which when I think back to United States history, I know that he's talking about liberty, freedom, equal rights for all men. And he says that they're still at issue around the globe. So that means that they haven't been solved around the world. Maybe they've been solved, those problems have been solved in our country or are close to being solved, but around the world they have not. And then he restates what he just said. The belief that the rights of man come not from the generosity of the state, but from the hand of God. Okay, so here I know he's saying that men's rights don't come from the state, that the government that a person lives in does not give men rights, but that God gives men their rights. Because a person is a human, they should have equal rights, and they have a right to justice and freedom. Okay, so now that I've figured out what paragraph 2 means, I'm going to go back to my question, and I'm going to see if I can answer it. Okay, So I'm looking for which appeal this is. So in the question, it talks about rights of man, and it says that they don't come from the state, but from the hand of God. Okay, so I know what this means. I need to look at my answer choices now. I want to see if I can eliminate any two wrong answers, okay? So the first thing I've done is I have read. I've also annotated. Now I am going to mark out two wrong answers. So the first thing I'm going to mark off is logical, because I know that logical and logos mean the same thing. I also know that logical is not an appeal. So I'm going to cross that one off because I know logos, pathos, ethos, those are the three appeals. So I don't see any numbers or statistics. It doesn't seem like he's appealing to the audience's logic here. So I'm going to cross through logos as well. The only thing I have left now is pathos and ethos. Pathos, I remember because of the root path, means feeling or emotion. And then ethos, I know, is either the speaker's gaining credibility with the audience, or he's appealing to some kind of morals. And remember, morals means a person's sense of right versus wrong. So up here, he's not talking about when I read this, there's not really any emotion that's stirred up within me. There's not any fear, any passion, anger, excitement. I think, okay, yes, this kind of makes sense, but it makes me want to trust the speaker. So I'm leaning more towards ethos now, because it makes me want to trust the speaker because he talks about God. Because God has to do with religion, that is related to a sense of right versus wrong, or morals. So, because of that, I'm going to pick A as my correct answer. So I'm going to circle ethos. Okay, so I have finally selected my correct answer, so I'm done with my model. Now I want you all to go all the way through questions 2 through 10, and I want you to answer those questions on your own and try to select the correct answer based off of your knowledge of the rhetorical devices, the three appeals, strongest, weakest argument, and any other skills that appear. Please use the testing strategies, RAMS, as well as reading the question first and going back and looking for the answers in the passage. If you do not understand, I will be circulating to help you answer these questions.